everyone, if you purchased one of my little 5x7 paper studies, I promised you a video on how to easily frame these yourself in a very affordable way. So I just want to quickly go over some of the supplies, super easy. I got all of these at Michael's craft stores. You can get them at any other craft store, so pretty simple. You need three things. You'll need a frame. Since these are 5x7, we're going to mat them in an 8x10 mat. So you'll need a frame with an 8x10 opening. I got these really nice wood frames, pretty simple, very inexpensive. They actually had them on sale. You're also going to need a pre-cut mat. So these are an 8x10 mat, so it'll fit within the opening of the frame with a 5x7 opening. I chose a white double mat just because it's my preference, but they have a large selection, and you can, they usually have them on the back wall in the framing department, so you can find them there. Important, you want to make sure that they say that they are acid free or pH neutral. This is going to protect your painting. If you don't have a pH neutral or acid free mat, or tape, which we're going to talk about that, then over time it will yellow the paper, which will reduce the value of the painting. So you want to make sure that you're using supplies that are going to protect the painting over time. So acid-free mat, 5x7 opening, 8x10 to fit within your 8x10 frame. In addition, you're going to need tape to adhere the painting to the mat. I have here, it's called Artist Tape. It is a pH neutral tape. Again, you're going to want to use a tape that is pH neutral or acid free. Artist Tape is the easiest thing to find. You'll find it in the art department area, usually near the graphic supplies. It's really important. This looks like it's masking tape. It is not masking tape. Masking tape is not pH neutral and not acid free. It will yellow and damage your painting over time. So you want to make sure that you have Artist Tape. It comes in assorted colors. I have it in green, white, black. This just happens to be a yellowish color that is similar to masking tape, but again, not masking tape. Please do not use masking tape or Scotch tape, anything like that. Buy yourself a roll of Artist Tape. You can always reuse it around the house. The great thing about it is repositionable, so you can pull it back off without damaging whatever you're taping down. So Artist Tape, pH neutral, acid free, matte, 5x7 opening, 8x10 in size, again acid free or pH neutral, and a frame. You're going to need it to have glass or plexi in it to protect the artwork, since these are on paper. Some additional supplies that you're going to need, and this isn't mandatory, but if you have a lint brush, that's going to be good for cleaning off the surface of your painting before you frame it. You don't need one. You can just brush or blow it off yourself. Glass cleaner, you're going to need to clean the glass in your frames prior to putting the artwork in. Scissors for cutting your tape, and paper towels for cleaning the frames. And that is all you need. Okay, I've finished cleaning the glass on my frame. I'm going to set that aside so that it has time to make sure it thoroughly dries and there's no moisture left on the glass. In the meantime, now I'm going to work on putting my painting into the mat. If you have a double mat like I do, what you'll see is it comes apart, which that's fine. I have an easy solution for keeping that together. So I'm going to take my Artist Tape and see if I can get it started here. Then I'm just going to take 2 pieces of my Artist Tape and make loops, and then I am going to place them inside both sides of my mat, and this is just going to help them keep them together and keep them in place. So then I'm kind of filming this upside down, so I'm just going to kind of stack the bottoms together and line them up so that they are together, and then slide it together Make sure everything's lined up. And then just gently press it to stick it together. Now, just to make sure that my mat stays clean and that I don't get anything on my artwork, I like to stick the mat on a paper towel. Now, preparing the painting to put in, pretty simple. I just very gently take a, what are these, lint rollers, and then I just very gently, let's actually do this. Just very gently roll over my painting a couple different directions. Okay, so now you're going to take your mat, you take your painting, you're going to position it there. It's now, so I get my painting exactly where I want it. Usually what I do is I take a piece of tape and then I'll stick it to myself or my pants or paper towel to take some of this tackiness off. And I'll put a little piece bottom and a little piece at the top. And then what I'll do is I'll flip my mat over and I'll use my hand to kind of center and position the painting the way that I want it in the mat. And you are going to have edges cut off. That is how it is when you frame paintings. You can figure out how much or how you want to do it, flipping it over there to see if I have it straight. So now what I'll do, flip it back over, and then I'll just gently press those two little pieces so that now I can take a look and see how my painting sits within the opening of the mat. Depending on what's along the edges or what kind of space you have, maybe between a floral bloom or something in your painting, you can then slide it left or right. Generally, when they cut the openings of mats, there's about 1/8 to 1/4 inch of overlap, and I can feel on this there's probably a little bit between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch. So you have some leeway. You can move it around and figure out how you want to best crop it. I have a lot of space at the bottom here and some of the leaves are cropped off. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift this up. And then I'm just going to slide this down just a tiny bit. And then I'll use my edges to make sure I can see that it's aligned. Just tap it into place, flip it over. So now I've moved it down a little more, so I like the spacing a little better up here, the openings in the leaves, a little closer to the signature. I think that's a nice crop. Once you have that where you want it, then we're gonna take the tape. I'm a little picky, so you wanna go longer than the length of your painting. I like my edges nice and clean, so I use my scissors, and then I'll come up here and I'll trim this as well. You don't have to do this, you can just tear it if you want, but I'm very picky. I like my edges nice and clean. So you're gonna split the tape half on the painting, half on the mat, and then just start at the center, gently press it out, and you're gonna do that on both sides. And then you can remove your little positioning pieces carefully because you don't want to peel up any of the back of the paper. So there is my matted painting. Now before I stick my paintings into the frames, I usually like to get up close and look at my mat and make sure there's no little smudges or anything on it. If you see a little smudge or a little dirt, you can use a very clean pencil eraser and just very gently erase the little spot off. When I say clean, I mean there can be no pencil, graphite, anything on it. If you don't have one and you need to clean it, you can take the eraser and rub it all around, like on your pant leg, on jeans especially, until the eraser is perfectly clean. So now we're going to take the matted painting and we're going to stick it within our frame. We've already cleaned the glass. I like to give it just a little blow off, make sure nothing got in there. In the meantime, I'm going to take the painting, give myself some space here, and I'm going to just stick this in. Now, what I like to do is hold the painting inside the frame, flip it over, and kind of look and see, okay, do I like the frame that way? Do I want to flip the frame around the other side? So take a good look, see how you like it. My frame's a little distressed, so it has some edges that are a little looks a little messed up, but that's how it's supposed to be. I think I'm going to get this to come out of here. I think I'm going to flip it the other way. I got to get it to come out. a look at it this way. There we go. I like it a little better like that. So once you have it inside your frame, look up close. Make sure you don't have any dirt, any little hairs or anything like that. I see a little tiny piece of debris on my mat. So I'm just gonna come in here and brush that off carefully. And that happens, you know, there's stuff that wiggles out of the mat or out of the frame. Okay, so that looks really good. Now all you have to do is reassemble the back. Mine came with this little piece that was already there. So we'll just put this back in. And that's that. There you go. So I don't like to put anything behind it. If you have another piece of acid-free paper or tissue paper, tracing paper, like I said, make sure it's pH neutral, acid-free, and you want to put in the back, you can do that. I don't put the inserts back in that come with the frames, especially the cardboard, because this is not pH neutral and it is not acid-free, and especially cardboard. It will yellow and damage the painting over time. I like to leave just the backer because it just gives a little bit of airflow, I feel, for me anyway. So there it is. Super simple, very easy way to mat and frame your own painting. It only took me a couple minutes. Easy supplies. You can get them at any craft store. Like I said, I got these at Michael's, and I got the pre-cut mats there, but there's plenty of other art and craft and frame places, and if you need any help, you can always ask the people in the framing department if you can't find something. So there you go. Okay, I want to show you, if you have a painting that has details along the edges, how to position it within the mat so that you can see all of the painting that you want to see. Another trick when putting a painting in is you can hold it, you can see the opening here. You can hold the painting so you can see how much you have top and bottom, side to side, how much additional space is behind the mat where you will not see it. So in this one, so if I position this kind of in the center, put it down and flip it over, you can see, I got a little crooked, so let's straighten it out here. Okay, so you can see that when I put this one in the mat, I'm missing that entire leaf from the tulip. It's hidden behind, but I know in looking that I have quite a bit of wiggle room to move it side to side. So what I'm gonna do is reposition it. It's on this side, and lift this up. And I know that I have it top to bottom the way pretty much that I want it, but I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna come over like this, and I'm gonna say, okay, so this is my top to bottom. Here I am right along my edge, and now you wanna have at least a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch overlap. So I'm just gonna come over slightly, put it down, make sure I have it straight, tack it down to take a look. So you can see the distance isn't even, but that's okay. Now it's positioned a little better. I have space here between this little leaf coming off the tulip. My signature is sitting within the corner really nice, and now I have some of this green leaf showing, so it's a much better frame. So you have wiggle room to move things around, really, you know, shift it up, down, side to side, and find what's going to be the best way to display the most interesting parts of the painting.